first of all, thank you for agreeing to pop out. It's much appreciated.
You're very welcome.
So I'll just be explaining why you're here and what will be happening.
Okay.
So what I'm doing is I'm conducting research even across a few different airlines and seeing what people do like and what they don't like.
Mhm.
I've done 2 tests on desktop, and now you're my first on mobile. So it's an honour.
It really is.
So with that research, hopefully I'll be able to see then that I can be part of creating something that people do like more than what's currently available.
Okay.
So I'm going to be conducting interviews with internet savvy people like yourself. And alongside that, I'll also be conducting usability tests, which is the main bulk of what we're doing today.
Okay.
Which, as the name would suggest, is just testing how usable a website is. So how easy it is to navigate through it, get what you want done with it, and be satisfied at the end. So this is all just to aid my research. So
Always happy to aid research.
thank you. I'll just explain the room setup first. So it took a while to get set up, but we have the phone is being mirrored to the screen, and it's recording the screen. It's also recording your facial reactions, so that hopefully when I look back on it, I might be able to pick up on stuff that I might not be able to just in person here today, and I can rewatch it.
Mm-hmm.
So the computer is also recording the audio, and I have the audio recording on my phone as well.
Okay.
So the only reason I'm recording it is, again, for note-taking purposes, and it'll just be seen by me and my lecturer at the college or whoever is grading it or reviewing it.
Okay.
So it won't be seen by anybody else outside that team.
Pure. I like it.
Yeah. So the session is divided into 2 parts, and just like I mentioned there. So first, I'll be asking you some questions about your experience booking flights in general. Then I'll ask you to perform a couple tasks on the Aer Lingus website or the app even.
Okay.
And I'll be asking you some questions as we go through it. So you won't be kind of, "Oh, what am I doing?" I'll be telling you
Okay.
what to do, and then something in my throat. And then lastly, I'll be asking you to perform the same tasks but on their Norwegian airline website. So something a bit different.
Curveball.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there is a few things to keep in mind that will help the test run smoother.
Okay.
First, the test or the session even that we're doing is called the usability test, but by no means is it a test. It's just your own personal experience. There's no wrong. There's no right. There's no trick questions. I'm not trying to catch you out. If you do come across any problems, just know it's the software's fault. It's obviously not your own fault. So if you do come across anything and anything you don't like, feel free to speak up about it and say it. And in fact, the more you do so, the better it'll be, because I'll be able to, note that down. Don't do that.
Okay.
So the more problems you find, the better I can fix them.
Okay.
Secondly, just please be as candid as possible. Again, like I was saying, if you don't like something, do say it. I obviously wasn't involved in the making or design of these screens, so there will be no offence taken.
You won't be taken it personally.
No. Thirdly, as you navigate around the apps, if you could just take things a fraction slower than you typically would, just so I can get my head around what's happening.
So let it record and also
Yeah,
do somewhere.
exactly.
Yeah.
And also when I'm watching it back, I'll be able to kind of...
keep up to speed.
Yeah, exactly. If you could basically verbalise your thoughts. So as, say, if you're clicking on a button and you think it's going to take you to the payment page, if it was me and I was doing it, I'd say, I'm going to click on this button and I think it's going to bring me to the payments page.
Okay.
And again, if I'm thinking, that font's a bit small, I'd say, it's a bit frustrating, the font is too small.
Okay.
Just, verbalise your thoughts. And also, I suppose I'll slow you down at the same time. So I'll be reminding you of this throughout the session anyway, so no stress. Finally, please feel free to ask any questions you want. It's a good way for me to understand your thoughts. But in order to keep the test as realistic as possible, I might not be able to answer all your questions, because say if you're using this app at home, you won't have somebody watching over your shoulder to answer your questions. So
exactly.
just keep it as realistic. Do you have any questions before we begin?
No. I'm actually fine.
No, grand. So I'm going to start off with the interview questions, as I said.
Okay.
So I'm going to start you off with some easy questions. These are just good to get some background info around you and give some context to kind of your app usage and I don't know how you find booking flights in general and stuff like that.
Okay.
So because I know you, I will likely know a lot of this. But
Yeah.
please do persevere and answer them for me anyway. Yeah,
As
humour
if
me.
I don't know you.
Great. So what is your name?
My name is Tara Lawler.
And what age are you?
I'm 25 years old.
What is your occupation?
I am a technical support specialist in HubSpot.
Great. And where do you live?
I live in Cloney.
Great. Would you describe yourself as a frequent internet user?
Yes.
Yes.
I use it on a daily basis, including in my work.
Okay. And how would you, through what medium would you access this through? So laptop, phone, tablet?
Predominantly through desktop because of my work.
Okay.
I'd say.
So work would be desktop?
Yeah.
Solely?
Solely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're accessing on a non-mobile or tablet like you mentioned in work, would this be on a laptop or a desktop?
Laptop.
Great. And do you use your phone for the internet much?
Yes. In my own personal time, I'll only use my phone.
Only. Okay, grand. And mentioning that you're using your phone, do you use mostly apps on your phone or do you use the browser most of all or a mix of two, or what's your typical kind of usage?
Mix of two. If I want to search for something, it'll be internet based. If it's something as staple as like Instagram or WhatsApp, I have apps for that.
Okay, so a bit of both.
A bit of both.
And
Yeah.
then in general, what types of apps would you use? So if you could just list off some or most of them.
Yeah. On a regular daily basis, it would be between YouTube, Spotify, WhatsApp, Instagram, and also Bankfriend.
Okay. So it sounds kind of
The usual.
usual in the mix
Yeah.
of social media and practical.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have any travel specific apps you use, airlines or otherwise, maps, that kind of thing?
I would normally.
You would or wouldn't,
I
sorry.
would
Yeah.
normally. But I've been travelling less, so I deleted them from my phone. But I would normally use them. I would also would Airbnb count as well.
Yeah.
Kind of travel. Yeah. So I have Airbnb and usually Ryanair on my phone.
Okay. And would Ryanair typically be the only app you'd have on your phone, or?
For flights, yes.
Okay. So I'm going to jump into some more travel specific questions. So what sort of travelling would you typically do? What I mean by this is like business or pleasure, or again, both.
No, more so be pleasure. I've only ever gone on one business trip in
Okay.
my entire life.
And how frequently would you fly?
Again, that's changed in the past year. But on average, it would be, I'd say like once every 2 months. Or 3
Okay.
months. Yeah.
And where would you typically fly to, or would there be a typical spot or region of the world?
Typically, it would be neighbouring countries, so like England or Scotland or things like
Mainly Europe, anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. And would you mainly fly solo, with a friend, with a group?
that. Yeah, it can be either or.
Okay.
Now it would be with friends.
Okay.
But I guess the problem here, I was in a long distance relationship, so that's the reason why I used to fly more, and I used to be on my own. But now he's moved here, so I don't need to do that.
So with friends nowadays.
With friends nowadays, yes.
So now just around your approach to booking flights.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you book flights?
So
As
again,
in-
is that on app basis or web?
Either or. Like what
Um,
would you typically do? Would you use an app? Would you use a desktop? And then how would you do that?
Again, if it was Ryanair, I'd use the app on my phone.
Yeah.
Because I prefer the interface on my phone. But then if it was for Aer Lingus or any other airline, I would use my desktop because I like more space and I'm using an airline that I don't usually book through.
And is it just on Ryanair that the app is particularly good on the mobile, or it's particularly bad on the desktop? Or what would be the reason you'd use just the app on that, whereas you use the desktop on the others?
I think it's easier because I have more access to my phone. on the go.
Okay.
So plus like the flights are quite cheap, so I don't have to worry about the amount of money coming out of my bank account if something goes awry.
Okay.
Whereas if it was with another airline and you're investing a lot more money, you'd kind of want to make sure you're sitting down and making right decisions as you're putting information in.
And you'd find that's easier on a desktop. And what would be your reasoning behind that normally?
Because it's more space on it, and you have to physically like click on things. Whereas with your thumbs, you can just accidentally hit off something.
Okay, fair enough. So I was going to ask, have you ever booked a mobile? I assume you have.
I have, yes, many a time.
Right. And when you're booking on your phone, I know you mentioned the app there. Would you ever do it through the browser on your phone?
With Ryanair, I think, yeah, like I would normally do it on desktop, but if it was with a specific one like Ryanair, I've only ever used it once on desktop, whereas the other one's on my phone.
Okay. And where do you typically book your flights? So, like, as in what airlines would you use?
Generally Ryanair.
Just Ryanair?
Yeah. Well, not just, like, they're more on average.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why do you use this website?
One, ridiculously cheap.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that's kind of the only reason that I would go for them.
So that would be your kind of main factor in booking flights would be the price.
Yeah.
And is there anything that would ever, like, override that? Like, comfort, or would it that always be your main priority?
It depends on the distance.
Yeah.
So if it was, say it was to maybe a bit further out, so maybe if I was going to like Denmark or if I was going to Sweden or Switzerland or somewhere like that, I'd kind of compare flights.
Yeah.
I'd probably use like Kayak to compare flights. But yeah, normally it would just kind of sacrifice comfort for having more fun when you get to your destination.
That runs very smoothly into my next question, which was, do you ever use flight comparison tools? So you use Kayak?
I use Kayak, yeah.
And solely Kayak, or would you use any other ones?
I prefer Kayak because I prefer the interface, because they will give you a little green bubble on the dates that are cheaper.
Okay.
Whereas if I use Skyscanner or something like that, they don't necessarily do that. So they don't tell you, oh, but if you book this day, it'll be cheaper.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like something you have to physically go looking for. Whereas if you just look at the calendar and Kayak, it highlights it all for you.
So would you use these type of tools or Kayak every time you book, or when would you, if not?
For more long haul flights and possibly more expensive destinations that I want to see if there's any comparison out there.
Okay.
So say like going to Iceland or something like that, you want to be able to compare flights.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the interview over. You'll be glad to hear.
Okay.
Now we're on to the usability tests. So
nice.
I'm going to go to Aer Lingus first, and we'll do Norwegian after.
Okay.
So I'll give you the phone in a second, and then you can do what I'm telling you. But just for the purpose of this test, we'll assume the following.
Okay.
You live in Dublin.
Mm-hmm.
You're planning a 3-day trip to Lisbon in June. Let's go with June.
June.
Yeah.
Okay.
Portugal. You're slightly constrained in dates in that you need to go over the weekend. So 2 of these 3 days will be a Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
You can do the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Okay.
So what I want you to do is book a flight from Dublin to Lisbon. Departing on, let's go with Friday.
Either Friday or Saturday. Okay.
Yeah. Return 3 days later. So 2 nights, 2 people. So if you could just show me what you do. So as I'm giving you the phone now, this is just, I opened Aer Lingus, and this is what I see on the app as is. I didn't touch anything. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Sorry, I have to crack my thumbs.
So we're on the home page now. So what do you see on this page, and what are you looking for?
Okay, so I'll just see the Air Club more predominant in the image there. I'll see my name, which in this case is your name. You see check-in, which I've gone back. Aoife, how do I work an iPhone? How do I go back?
Let's go back to home.
Okay. I don't know how to work an iPhone, not Aer Lingus.
Just on what happened there.
I accidentally clicked checked in because I'm heavy on my thumbs.
Okay.
Yeah. Then I see my trips, flight status, and then book a flight is very minimal at the bottom of the page. So it actually took me a while to figure out that it was actually
Yeah.
on the page, because my first thought is to go to the burger menu
Okay.
to look for Book of Flight.
So now that you've seen all that, what will you do next?
I generally go to Book of Flight, I would imagine. I would try out the button anyway to see if that is where it will bring me. And it has brought me there. Okay. So then see...
So what would you be looking for here?
Here, I would make sure the from is from the correct destination, or leaving place of departure, and it is, that's from Dublin. Then I'd want to next go into destinations, and we're going to go to Lisbon, so I pop that into the search bar because I don't want to have to scroll the whole way, and the search bar was easily found. Then I check passengers, so I want 2 people, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so then press done. And then next I'd want to choose dates. So I put in there. And then, so we're saying in June.
And just the way these dates came up, it came up with the calendar option. Were you expecting to see this? Were you expecting it on a scroll wheel, a drop down, or what were you expecting, and what do you think of this?
I was expecting it to bring me to the calendar.
Yeah.
That would kind of be based solely on previous experience, but that's desktop.
Yeah.
So I know how they work. And I actually prefer that it brought you to a completely new page
Okay.
with the calendar on it.
Rather than a pop-up.
Rather than a pop-up, because that just gets way too fiddly.
Okay.
And you nearly have to try and... It just gets way too messy when it's a pop-up. So when it brings you to a whole new page, it's easier to navigate. Okay, so we're going to go in June, and it needs to be on a weekend. I'll say Saturday to the Monday, because that in my head would be cheaper.
And did you drag that across, or did you just tap those days?
I just tapped the day. So initially it was highlighting in May,
Yeah.
and then it brought me to, so I highlighted 2 weeks. I just clicked on the 8th again, and then that's now return, which is a nice interface, I imagine. But yeah, I clicked 8 again, so that reset it, and then I went to click the day that I actually wanted, and that dragged the highlight across for me. So press continue to see how much that would be, and so I'm limited on funds. So how much am I aiming for?
Well, for the option of this, you're rich. There's no budget.
There's no budget for
No.
this. Business class all the way. Okay.
But do it as if you're typically
Doing
it.
it, yeah, of course. Okay.
So what do you see here? What do you make of this?
So, yeah, it's letting me choose the time that I want to go out at, and it's illustrated that nicely, I think. It's also telling me exactly how long the flights will be. There's only 15 minutes in the difference, so it's not too bad. It's giving me the option of Saver plus an Advantage. Initially, I thought to myself, what's the difference between them?
Would you know what the different fare types are? Or
No, because that's something that they've only brought in recently.
Okay.
I'm pretty certain of. Before I click compare fare, if I was to look at Saver, to me would be without like a big case,
Yeah.
maybe. Plus would be with a big case, like a
Okay.
normal fare, and then Advantage would be, the ability to like, change your flights or something like that later on.
And what do you think the text at the top of the screen is, the kind of carousel? What do you think that refers to?
That's the different dates, so you can scroll through there to change the dates and things
Okay.
like that. That's something that they would have in common with Ryanair as well, so that's something I'm used to. Yeah, I feel like the interface is a little bit dull though.
Dull
Yeah,
in terms of colour or
just in terms of colour. Yeah, it's very bland, and
Okay.
it's nearly distracting of how bland it is. Because you almost don't know where to look. Like you're not being pointed in any direction. In terms of colour, 'cause it's all very monotoned, bar the Saver plus an Advantage. So it's for a second I had to make sure that I actually was looking at the flight details, and it wasn't just another interface. So in this case, let's just imagine I didn't know what the different versions were. I'd have to compare fares. And saver is, yes, like I said, it's cabin bag. And then earn credits. So on that basis, I'd want to go for, if I'm going for the weekend, I'm allowed a cabin bag, I'd probably go for the saver option because there's no need for a big case if it's only for the weekend. And me being me, I would want to go the earlier flight.
Yeah.
Now it's brought me to the date that I select to come back on automatically. So it brought me through the scroll option on the top. And then it's given me the option for my flights back, knowing the different benefits again. I will choose a saver.
And how do you go about choosing it? Like physically, what do you do?
So I would tap on the option that I wanted.
Okay.
So then obviously basing on times that I want to get back at, I would choose the first one for 11:20. So I would tap on the saver option there, and that automatically brings me through to the overall total. So
it's almost the results page of what you. Well, like what would you interpret this page to be?
So this would be, as it says, like my flight summary. So it shows me my flight going out, details there, then the flight coming back, and then there was a point there where I actually forgot that it's for 2 people.
Okay.
And it hasn't reiterated that it's by 2.
Okay.
So in my head, I was like, how is that 274 roughly?
And you would have expected it to be.
Yeah, because you're booking it and you're seeing it based on one person rather than it's multiplying.
Okay.
It doesn't take into account the quantity of people you've put in
Sure.
while you're looking at the flight there and then.
Yeah.
So that can be kind of misleading.
Okay.
Of, I'm seeing it's 57 and I'm like, oh, that's amazing for 2 people.
Yeah.
But then you get to the end, it's actually doubled.
Yeah.
And it hasn't told you that's by 2. So it hasn't broken it down. Like when I'm scrolling here, it's not even saying collectively the total and then by 2 and now your total's this. Now I imagine it would if I click there, it does, but it's not very obvious. It's just just a little arrow bar. Like it's nothing very obvious because that it's very very hidden. So from there, like it all makes sense.
Well, that's if that's your thoughts on that page, that's that particular task done. So we can stop that part there.
I'm gonna count them on your phone.
Overall, what did you think of that experience with the time date selection as a whole?
Yeah, I thought it was okay. Again, I think it's like this the color scheme. It's not very. It doesn't highlight the areas very well.
Yeah.
So you're kind of searching for a little bit longer than you normally would be. So I had more confusion on this than I normally would.
Okay.
Based solely on the colours and also the fonts of things, like especially with the buttons. So like the continue button that we can see now, it's kind of reiterated through the whole thing of like book your flight.
Yeah.
And the font is very small, and the underline doesn't need to be there. It's kind of like it's too distracting. It kind of makes it look a little.
Okay. Which underline is this?
So the one under continue.
Okay, grand.
That was present. I don't think it was under book a flight. It possibly was, but throughout it's total and continue. It's always underlined. It doesn't need to be. It's a bit too noisy.
Okay.
It's too much there.
And would you, based off this, the desktop's the preferred, definitely?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Was there anything you particularly, I know we just talked about a couple of things you didn't like, is there anything you particularly liked about the process? Any aspect of it? If you didn't, that's fine either.
Yeah, no, I did like that, even though it was kind of hidden, they still told you exactly what you got in the different packages. Though I may not necessarily like the style that it was in because it's kind of tedious of having to consistently look back up on what you were looking at. Do you want me to go back to that so we can see it?
No, that's fine.
But yeah, I like the idea of it being able to see it there and then rather than having to go on your computer while you have your phone open to look up the differences.
Okay.
So that was a nice addition, I think.
And was there anything you expected to see and didn't?
No, not really.
No. Okay.
No, I don't think so. I think it kind of followed a similar pattern to others. Just didn't execute it as well as others.
Okay. And then the reverse of that question, was there anything you were surprised to see?
Was there anything that I was surprised to see? I like the idea that you can save the search. I like that.
Okay.
Because that's not always very obvious, I feel, especially on apps. To be able to save that option. I don't really understand why there's a share button there. Because you wouldn't want to share that information, especially if there's only like 2 seats left on your plane. So that doesn't make any sense. But yeah, no, I like the save. And even though the total was, kind of hidden away,
Yeah.
it was still nice to have the option there, though it is not very obvious to see it.
Okay. Grand. So we will go on to task 2, which is seat selection and baggage selection. So if you could just hand over the phone, and I'll just click through until we get to that stage. So we're now on to seat selection. A general baggage selection might be after, but we'll figure it out.
Okay.
So, what do you see on this page?
So I see firstly it's highlighted in the top left hand corner that it's my Dublin to Lisbon flight.
Okay.
Then it's highlighted the first passenger. And then it's saying to select a seat. It's also giving me the option for seat prices. If it was me, I would click on a seat to see if it gave me the price initially.
Yeah.
If not, then I would have a look to see what the difference is, because there's different colours.
And do you know what the different colours refer to?
No, but I would imagine it would say it in the seat prices. So I'll just do it normally too. So that's saying standard 11 or 12 euro, and then me being me, I'll just click them until I know. 21, 11. So I'm learning that the dark green is possibly cheaper. If you want to see prices, it's saying just that. So green is 12, navy is 18, and then light blue is 21. So in that case, I like being in the back of the plane.
So what do you expect to happen when you select a seat now?
I would imagine that when I click onto it, it's then going to tell me how much it's for that person to sit there. And then I would normally press continue, but it's hard to say now. I don't know if I physically have to click the additional passenger,
Okay.
or whether continue is going to bring me to my Lisbon to Dublin flight.
Okay.
So
what do you think you'll do?
I'll try and click so I clicked the other passenger.
Okay.
So in this case it worked. So I'll just click the seat next to me, same price as it said in the seat prices.
And say you wanted to clear a seat, or you wanted to unselect that seat, how'd you do that?
Okay. So if I wanted to unselect it, I would imagine to click it again.
Okay,
And it would
that
come
seems to work.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it came up there that I wanted to continue.
And now, we're on to the baggage.
Yeah, I'm going to go into the Lisbon Dublin just to click that one, just to make sure
sorry,
that
I didn't.
No, because I think the error came up that I didn't do the last time. So I was like, oh, better do. So I'll just do that quickly there. Did the exact same thing as I did before, just for the Lisbon to Dublin. Okay. Continue. Baggage. Okay, so currently I have none because I went for the saver option. So if I wanted to have a 15 kilo bag, I'd have to add that on for an additional €70.
And how would you go about doing that, and what would you expect to see when you do what you...
So I would, again, it's highlighting the first passenger's name. So that would mean it's for that passenger. So I expect if I click the plus button, it would then add that to that person.
Okay.
I like the fact that it's brought down number of bags, so you don't have to try and figure that out later on. So that's nice. And then I would click onto the next passenger's name after learning that from the previous the previous interface, and I do the same for them. And it's nice that they give you the checked-in, the check and cabin baggage policy there and then as well.
Okay.
Because that limits you having to Google that.
Yeah.
At that point, so that's nice. So that's gone out as expected. So each person has a 15 kilo bag. And that's all been added into the total at the bottom as well.
Happy days.
Happy days.
Okay, so again, that's that task over and done with. Similar to the last one, what did you think of that experience?
Yeah, no, I thought it was good. I think it was a bit, there's like a theme of slight confusion through the whole thing,
Okay.
especially when it came to the seat selection and whether or not the continue button was for the next flight, was it for the next person, or was it for a next completely different change of interface?
Yeah.
So it was a bit
That's a good point.
confusing. But I did like the addition of the number of bags and then the checked baggage policy. That was quite good. I like that.
Okay, so the dislikes would be that kind of confusion, and then the likes would be
Yeah.
this whole interface that we kind of see here.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
seem to find that easy. Again, the 2 standard questions: anything you expected to see and didn't, and anything you were surprised to see.
Surprised to see was the number of bags. That was good. And what I expected to see, again, maybe it's just some more definition rather than just small text.
Yeah.
And font for a bag has been added, or a seat has been selected for that person. So like maybe the colour of the seat is now the box around that person's name or something like that. Just something a bit more distinctive than small font, because I mean, I'm 25, I have young eyes, but if it was someone older than me, they wouldn't necessarily be able to see, 15 kilo in one bag.
Yeah.
It's
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Great. So that's Aer Lingus done as a whole. So I'll switch you over
There you go.
to Norwegian. Have you ever used Norwegian before?
I actually have never used Norwegian before.
Oh, it's your lucky day. Okay. So again, this is what happened when I just first opened the app. So
Okay.
it's going to be the exact same process as last time. So again, for the purposes of this test, we'll assume that we're booking the exact same trip as the last. So you live in Dublin, planning a 3-day trip in June, was it? It'll be a Friday trip, returning 3 days later on Monday. And you can take the trip any weekend you want, but you want it as soon as possible in June, so the date closest you can. So what I want you to do is book a flight from Dublin to Lisbon, depart Friday, return 3 days later, 2 nights, 2 people.
2 nights, so Sunday. Yeah. If I'm going Friday, I come back Sunday, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not my strongest point. So please show me what you would do. So where I have it now is just when I open the app and it gave me the option to log in, I said continue as a guest.
Okay.
And then this is what I see here.
Okay.
So what do you see on this page, the home page?
I see book a trip and add a trip. So it's a lot cleaner, less distracting, and the interface isn't as noisy. Like you know exactly what to do. It doesn't have the burger menu. I mean, it does. It has like the dot menu in the bottom right hand corner, but it gives you the main things that you would need before the burger menu.
Okay.
So it gives you like my travels, book, or your profile, because they're the 3 things you would normally want to go see.
Yeah.
Initially. So.
And for the test, you're looking obviously to book a flight. So what are you looking to see, and what would you do next?
So I mean, I have 2 options. I can either click down the bottom to book or book a trip directly with the red button. So I will click the red button, and then it instantly brings me down to the book at the bottom navigation menu, and that doesn't seem to be doing anything with it. Loading nothing.
Okay. A bit of a curveball.
Let me go back and
do
see.
next?
I just go back and see if there's anything that I was doing wrong. Book a trip and book. Doesn't have a refresh option. I'm scrolling down the screen as I normally would on a different app, and nothing happens. So the app doesn't
Maybe
want me to
try.
book.
I'll just try clearing the app and starting again. I don't know if this is a problem with the app
Or the phone. I don't know how to work iPhones.
Double click, swipe up.
Nice.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so we'll see what happens if I click book a trip now. There we go. It just needed to be closed.
Okay. Yeah, that was the problem with the app.
Okay, so it's saying that I'm flying from Bergen, which is not the case. So I tapped on that, and I'm now going to delete it because I checked if it was a drop-down menu. It was not, so I have to type that in.
Were you expecting a drop down?
From when I tapped on it, normally what I would expect is that it would all delete for you to type it in if it is a default, but it didn't, so that made me think it was a scroll, but it wasn't. So now I have to type it in myself. But it gives you the option in the drop down as you're typing, which is handy. And then fly to, and then it gives you all airports. So then I want to go to Lisbon. So I type in Lisb, and Lisbon comes up. Okay, and then it gives me the next option is return or one way. I want return. And then outbound. Click that. This is those pop-ups.
And what do you think the different colours refer to here? And what do you think of the calendar?
Okay, so it says available flights, no available flights. Okay, so dark grey is available, white is not available.
And peach there, what do you think that means?
The date that we're currently on, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, today's the 9th, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, so you can't really fly out at this point because I'd imagine that's a no-go. There are no flights. Yeah, it's a pop-up, but it's not too fiddly in terms of the calendar. And I like the way it fades everything else out, so you're completely honed in on the calendar rather than everything still being as bright as it was before.
Okay.
So in this case, I'll click the Friday, and then it automatically opened up the return. So I'm just saying my touch isn't too much. So, and no available flights. That's my problem. I chose May. I need to choose June. So that was my bad. So I'm going to click the 7th, and yeah, I'm going to be there for 2 weeks, so I need to change my flights again. So that's Monday the 17th, so I need to choose Friday the 14th. Friday the 14th, and I can only come back the Monday. So I'll have to try and go with that. And then choose 2 people, so 2 adults.
And say we're flying back the Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Because the purpose of the test was the Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What would you do if you had to take any weekend that was Friday to Monday? How would you find that kind of weekend where you can fly out the Friday back on the Monday?
So what my frame of thought here is that if I try the Monday now, and if I go to the Times, if I can get back before I need to be in work, obviously it's not the best option. But if I can get back before my commitments for the Monday, then that would work. But preference would lie in the Sunday. I can always try and see another date, but there doesn't seem to be anything available on the returns. Let me see. Yeah, it's just Mondays, Wednesday, Thursdays.
And how do you find that process of going between the 2 calendars?
Yeah, it's a bit monotonous having to go through them both. I think that if there was something to give you the prediction, because the fact that obviously there's smaller airlines, they only fly out on particular days. But if there was maybe one calendar and I highlighted based on the dates that you've selected, maybe loosely near like the kayak option of like the green dot of the dates that will be available based on the day that you choose. Yeah, because it's a bit tedious having to go between them both. So yeah, we'll try for the Friday to Monday. And then
And what do the different options refer to here? So all the different radio buttons. And
the radio buttons. So selected date, show low fare, calendar, show low fare calendar. Doesn't really make any sense to me. I mean, I know what it means, but I don't see the point of it now when I've already chosen my dates.
Okay.
So that doesn't make any sense to me. And then show direct only. In this case, I don't really mind. I'll leave it as selected date. I can choose direct only if it's there or not. So I don't mind the option of either or.
So what do you expect to see on the next page now when you proceed?
If I proceed and click search in book, I would imagine that I'd have the option to choose my first flight based on times and prices. And in this case, if it's direct or not. So click search in book. See if that happens. Okay. Overnight stop. Okay, so fare calendar, you can option to go back, that's good. Modify search. Select your outbound flight, right, the 14th. Remove overnight stop. Okay. Again, heavy thumbs. So.
Where did you click on that to see that?
I think I accidentally clicked here.
Okay.
Yes, I did. So I clicked this route as an overnight stop.
Would you have clicked it on purpose otherwise, do you think?
No,
Okay.
I don't think so. I don't even think that, wouldn't even thought that was an option to or a hyperlink of any sort.
Why? Why not?
Because it's not, usually hyperlinks are 1 blue and 2 underlined.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's, whereas like Wi-Fi included, I guess it is an underline, but it nearly looks like a design rather than
Yeah, sure.
an actual underline because of Wi-Fi included. That I know is a hyperlink and compare fare types or package types. Yeah, I don't know what I did there. I just scrolled. Something happened. Okay. So maybe I clicked next day by accident? I did. Somehow. Here. Okay, so I'm back on the 14th. So it seems as though the only flight available is 20 past, or 25 to 9, which isn't the best. And it has an overnight stop in Oslo. So
Not ideal.
no, definitely not ideal, especially if it's a weekend trip. Spending most of it in Oslo. But for the sake of this, I'm going to have to choose that. So, yeah, shows that one. And then on the way back, it keeps recognizing my scrolls as touches and then forgetting them as touches.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think it's just hypersensitive or I'm just heavy thumbed. I don't know. Yeah, so this route has an overnight stop as well. So I'll be coming back on Tuesday. Okay. So that doesn't work either. I think I'm going to take like a 5 or 6 day weekend now.
Yeah, say for the purpose again, we just have to do it. It doesn't matter about overnight stops. We'll just
Right.
proceed with the options you chose.
Proceed with the...
How would you go about
Okay.
choosing them, or have you already?
Yeah, so I just clicked onto the box that had low fare in them.
Okay.
And it doesn't really specify what this 3 is. I'd imagine... yeah, when I bring it close to my face, I can see there's a slight outline of a seat. So I think it means it's bring 3 seats left. It's hard to see him from that far away. It's not an outstanding colour. Okay. Yeah, okay, so when I chose the last option, it brought me straight to the bottom. And
what would you do next? And what do you think all these different... So there's a few different bits here. Special assistance, campaign code, campaign prices. What do you think these all relate to?
Yeah, you kind of have to read through them all, don't you? It's a bit of a lot of information, but weirdly spaced. So it gives you the option to start your reservation, but then also, after that, it asks you, like, do you require special assistance? So I would imagine, let me see what's, yeah, I would imagine that this should be below all of this.
The start reservation?
Yeah, the
Okay.
start reservation should be below, like, campaign code, I guess, not really, but maybe they require special assistance on my flight because you could easily miss that, I think.
And do you know what campaign code is?
Campaign prices, I actually don't. I just assume that may be like a coupon code or something, but I don't
Okay.
actually know what it is. It doesn't give you the option to learn more about that. Maybe it's like a club that they have, I'm not really sure.
And would you expect to see more now when you scroll down, or?
No, I was actually surprised by that. I think I just am heavy on default because your phone just
That's
keeps
okay.
But yeah, there's more and more, gives you more information about
And what does this all relate to?
Relates to just my outbound and return flights, and in more detail. So the times, the terminals, the flight numbers,
Yeah.
and what kind of, I'm assuming what kind of planes, it's air shuttle. Then it gives price details, their fares, optional service. Just a lot of information that maybe could be a bit later,
Okay.
or presented in an optional way rather than having to continuously scroll.
When you say optional, do you mean for it to be hidden, or what do you
Hidden,
mean by
but
that?
hidden but in plain sight. Like to see, like almost like a button to like view flight information or further flight information. You can,
Maybe like an expansion.
yeah, an expansion button, exactly. So start reservation sounds a bit vague.
Okay. Why do you think that is? What's vague about that?
Because I would imagine that reservation is more like a hotel,
Okay.
not.
So the actual
plane.
language of it.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. It's a bit misleading,
Okay.
because you'd imagine like continue with your booking or continue booking,
Okay.
or continue to next page or something like that. Like start reservation. I've already started it.
Yeah.
Like I've already entered information, and I've entered my details of what I want. So I've already started the reservation technically. So I'll click that button anyways, and see where that leads me. Okay, so now I just have to enter in the passenger information. So do you want me to stop here and then go up and see?
Yeah, I suppose this is that date and time selection done. So that's first task done.
Okay.
So again, the kind of wrap up questions. What did you think of that experience?
Initially, I thought it was very good. I felt like it was a lot clearer and very much to the point in comparison to the Aer Lingus one. But then when you got further into it, there was just kind of hiccups along the way of hyperlinks not looking like hyperlinks and showing more information, and then also additional information further as you scrolled, and then the terminology being used kind of got a bit confusing.
Okay. And anything you particularly liked? Anything you particularly disliked? Any standouts?
I liked how they used bold color contrasts, because it made you very aware of where you were in each stage. Though the terminology was a bit strange, you could still get the gist of where you were, and you knew exactly where you were in terms of looking at the top of the screen and knowing the title of that page. Also, yeah, like I liked kind of like the positioning and everything. But then, yeah, as it further went on, it just got a bit. It seemed a bit sensitive in the app. I don't know if that was me.
You were not. Okay.
Yeah, so it's. Yeah.
And anything you're surprised to see? Anything you expected and didn't?
Surprised to see. I was actually surprised to see so much information below.
Towards the end. Okay.
Yeah, like after. So for me, like the final point on that page to make it as clean and cut as possible is you've entered your information. These are the flights you want. Now the only option now is to continue on, and then additional information should be asked then.
Okay.
It just gets too confusing then if you're entering in all this information in one space, and then the continue to your booking is then technically in the middle of the page.
Yeah.
Where it should be at the bottom, because that should be your final point before you continue on.
Okay. And that's what you'd have expected to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that it was in the middle, if I was perhaps on my phone, where like if it's not the phone, that's fine. But if it is the phone and my phone's not as sensitive, I wouldn't have scrolled past the start reservations. I wouldn't have known that all that information was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. All very fair points. Onto our baggage and seat.
Okie dokie.
So Norwegian's actually a bit different in Aer Lingus in that the baggage is done within the step after we just did, so we're inputting our passenger details now. Okay, so I have all the details filled out except for the baggage, which are within this personal details section.
Oh.
Just straight off, what do you think of the baggage within this section? Would you have expected it to be here?
No.
No. Okay.
Yeah, it seems a bit strange that it's there. And again, it could be easily missed, and then when you go to the next option, it would then highlight it that you haven't chosen it. I think it's just from me being so used to having each page dedicated to different points of the booking.
Okay.
That I'm used to that, and that's just something that is unique to them.
Again, for the purpose of this test, we'll just say we're booking a suitcase each.
A suitcase.
So if you could just,
okay.
What are you doing? What are you expecting to see?
Yeah. So when I scrolled there where you left me off, it said baggage outbound. So that is for my flight out. Though, because I'm a frequent flyer, I know that terminology. But for someone who perhaps doesn't understand that terminology, it would be nice to say from Dublin to Lisbon and Lisbon to Dublin, because some people don't understand what an outbound flight is.
Just for further clarity.
Exactly. Hand baggage only, I'll say one checked bag, which is 33. It doesn't tell me what weight that bag is.
Or would you expect it to?
Only in comparison to the other app that we used.
Yeah.
If I'd used this one first, I probably wouldn't have thought of it.
Okay.
But again, I would eventually think of it, and I would have to eventually Google what the baggage allowance is.
And do you think there's an option to find that out within this page? If it's something
within this
that you're
page?
wondering now?
No, from what I can see currently, it's just giving me the option to add it. It doesn't actually give me an information button like it does for the reward number.
Okay.
It just simply states your bags. It doesn't give you any additional information. I'd be surprised if it was further down, to be honest. Okay, so to do it for each person. Okay. Done. Again, just tapping onto.
And what do you think of the whole scrolling kind of option?
It just seems like there's a lot of information on the one page, and it can be slightly overwhelming. It's maybe like climbing a mountain. You want to have different stages. You don't want to have to enter everything in at once. Okay. And then, sorry, I just keep clicking things accidentally. Okay. Continue reservation, I would imagine.
If you're going to click that, what do you expect to see?
Again, there's all this information down here.
Same as last time.
Same as last time. Price details, base fare, charges and fees, optional, charge for baggage, our fares. Yeah, exact same information from before. That's just randomly down the bottom. And then continue reservation. Again, the terminology is a bit strange. That's it. Reward number. I'll just get rid of the reward number.
Did it highlight that as an error? Sorry.
It just scrolled up to it randomly. I'll try and continue reservation again. Oh, date of birth, that's what's going on. So it scrolled to the wrong point, which is confusing. Who put in most?
You can make him a bit older. I think he might have been too old.
They know he's dead.
He's like 120.
Don't give that option then if you...
Yeah, and again, it didn't really specify what the error was, I suppose.
Yeah, it just scrolled me straight up to the, what's it called, the reward number for the first passenger, when in actual fact it wasn't that, and I had to scroll down to see the red error, so it doesn't make any sense.
It's Mel's fault.
It's just too old. Okay. So continue without seat reservation. That's nice and clear that you don't have to do that. Because some people don't want to spend the money, and that wasn't a clear option, if at all an option for the Aer Lingus. The Aer Lingus one. If it was an option, it was very hidden.
Okay.
So this is being more fair that you don't have to book your seat.
So what do you see here?
So this one is highlighted a lot better. It's just straight out, not as much clicking, in fact, no clicking to understand how much money each area is. So front row is €21, front of cabin is 16, standard front is 12, extra legroom 18, standard back 12. So I'll just choose the same seats. I'm going to tap for.
Is it clear to you what seats are already chosen, like what seats are available to pick?
Yeah, because the ones that are taken are faded. Like I said, the ones are strong. Though the reason why I scrolled up is to see. It is saying Dublin to Oslo because that's my stopover, but it's not saying for which particular passenger.
Yeah.
So it hasn't highlighted that.
Okay.
So now it's saying for the first passenger. And then if I click 2, and then that's for the second passenger, so that's fine. Again, the random information at the bottom is just there.
It's a common theme, I think.
Common theme. Then now this is from Oslo to Lisbon. So again, I'll just aim for the same seats if they're there. And I'll do the exact same. I'll do this 2 more times because of the amount of stopovers that I have. Just do that again. And last time.
And we'll say for this one, because I asked on the last one, say you select the seats and you want to choose different seats.
Okay.
If you think you do that.
So I would imagine if I clicked it again, but that's not working, so I would have to maybe click a different seat, and that's worked. So it's only coming up for one person. So let's see what happens if I say don't first person. Okay, so perhaps I have to click on the person I want and then move them. Oh, that's very confusing. How do I move both people? That's interesting. It's not very clear how to move people.
Okay.
It's updating, but to what? Okay, so remove seat selection. I'll have to start from scratch then rather than being able to move them. Yeah, so I'd have to remove the seat selection rather than having the ability to tap.
But that wasn't immediately obvious to you.
No.
It didn't seem now.
No, I mean, like after seeing it, I was like, oh, it's there, but it's all very similar, so it's kind of hard to see, especially because the ability to tap initially is giving you the idea that if I click here, that's where I sit.
Yeah.
So perhaps if I click here again, I'm going to sit there. So yeah, it kind of trains you initially to think that when you click a seat, that's where you're going to be. So yeah, so all of the flights have been selected for seats, and I continue reservation, and
And that is seat selection done, and baggage selection. So,
yes.
What did you think of those two as a whole?
Those two as a whole, baggage I didn't like as much because it didn't give you information. It also, it didn't give you information, it just gave you different prices for the quantity of bags. It didn't give you the option for the weight of bag that you could have, and therefore save money or potentially spend more, depending on what you want. It also only gave you the option for 2 bags, whereas the other one gave you the option for 3. And then the whole seat changing thing was a bit awkward.
Okay.
And non-desirable, I think.
Any surprises? Anything you wanted to see and you didn't?
Nothing that I wanted to see and I didn't. I think the surprising thing was that the person came up after I clicked the seat, and then I had the option to be more interactive in it, but then that kind of lended to a bad experience because it was almost too interactive.
Okay.
Where I pushed the boundaries and it didn't actually work out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. That's all your testing done.
Oh my god.
Thanks a million.
You're very welcome.
It's great.
I'll back your phone.
Great tester.